My name is Lila Rowan, 29 years old. On paper, my life looks pretty decent. I work as a programmer for a tech company in Seattle, spending my days writing code, fixing bugs, and arguing with compilers. It's not glamorous, but it pays well, and I'm good at it. My monitors glow late into the night, my apartment windows looking out over a city that doesn't know my name and doesn't ask for anything except what's on my paycheck stub. Honestly, that's kind of a relief. My family lives 3 hours away in a small town outside Portland. Different world entirely. There's my dad, Mark, who's 62 and retired after his heart problems started 2 years ago. My mom, Carol, 58, who used to work part-time at a local bookstore until dad got sick and had to quit to take care of him. And then there's my older brother, Ryan, 33, who has always been the sun around which everything else orbits. Growing up, I learned very early that I wasn't the favorite. I was 8 when I won first place in the school science fair. I still remember the smell of glue and poster board, the metallic tang of the little trophy in my sweaty hands as I burst through the front door. "Mom, Dad, look!" They glanced up from the kitchen table where Ryan's baseball schedule was spread out like some sacred document. "That's nice," Dad said, nodding once. "Very nice, honey," Mom added, already turning back to Ryan. "So, your first game is next Tuesday, and Coach says you might start?" Ryan hadn't even played a game yet, but somehow his hypothetical swing mattered more than the trophy I was clutching so hard my fingers hurt. By dessert, my science fair win might as well have been a grocery list. When I was 16, I got accepted into a summer coding camp, a competitive program only 20 kids in the entire state got into. I left the acceptance letter on the kitchen counter, practically glowing with pride. Dad read it, whistled, and then sighed. "It's too expensive, Lila. We just can't afford it." I swallowed the disappointment, told myself maybe next year. 2 months later, Ryan came home waving a form about a school trip to Europe. $2,000. Somehow, that money materialized out of thin air. They held a yard sale for Ryan's big opportunity, borrowed from Aunt Linda, tightened the belt for a while. No one seemed to remember the coding camp, or pretended not to. I paid my own way through college with scholarships and 2 part-time jobs. Nights at the campus help desk, weekends stocking shelves at a pharmacy. Ryan got everything paid for: tuition, books, rent. When he dropped out after 2 years, they just shrugged. "College isn't for everyone," Mom said, patting his arm. When I suggested taking a semester off to save money, Mom cried like I'd announced I was running away to join a cult. "You're throwing your life away, Lila," she sobbed into a dish towel. That was the rhythm. Ryan was the golden boy. I was the strong, sensible backup system, the one who would be fine no matter what they did or didn't do. Then 2 years ago, Dad had a heart attack. It wasn't massive, but it was enough to scare everyone. He couldn't work anymore. Mom quit her job to take care of him. That's when the calls started. Not "How are you, Lila?" calls. "We need money for Dad's medication" calls. I started paying their bills. At first, it was small things: electric, gas, water. Then it was groceries. Then Dad's prescriptions. Then somehow it turned into Amazon purchases, streaming services, phone bills, random delivery meals. "It's just until we get back on our feet," Mom would say. They never did. I set up automatic payments from my account because it was easier than playing whack-a-mole with their constant requests. Every month, thousands of dollars left my paycheck and slid quietly into their lives like unseen house guests. They never said thank you. Not once. It was just expected, like I owed them for existing, like this was the bill coming due for being the not favorite child. By the time Christmas rolled around, I was tired. Not physically. I could handle late nights and bad coffee, emotionally tired. The kind of tired you get from carrying everyone else's weight while they complain about the temperature. Still, I loaded my car with presents. I bought nice things too. Intentional things. A new tablet for Dad, so he could read without straining his eyes. A cashmere scarf for Mom, expensive, soft, in her favorite shade of green. A gaming headset for Ryan because he'd mentioned wanting one in some throwaway comment on a call. The drive took 3 hours. Traffic was light. The sky was that winter gray that makes everything look like an old photograph. I rehearsed small talk in my head, told myself this year might be different, that maybe they'd notice what I'd done for them. I pulled up to their house at noon, right when dinner was supposed to start. I walked in carrying bags of presents and everyone was already at the table. Mom, Dad, Aunt Linda, Uncle Joe, my cousins Emma and Sam. And Ryan, of course, sitting there with a blonde woman I'd never seen before. "Lila," Mom said sharply, "you're late. We already started." I wasn't late. I was exactly on time. I opened my mouth to say that, then closed it again. Not worth the energy. "Everyone, this is Madison," Ryan announced, his arm draped around the blonde. "My girlfriend." Madison smiled, a bright, stretched smile, all teeth and enthusiasm. So nice to finally meet Ryan's family. I'd never heard of her before. Turns out they'd been dating for 1 month. 30 days and change, and she was here at Christmas dinner. I looked at the table. Madison was sitting in my usual spot, right next to Mom, the seat I'd sat in every Christmas for 29 years. She had a full place setting. Decorations, cloth napkin, the good silverware. "Where should I sit?" I asked. Mom waved vaguely toward the far end. "Just grab a chair from the kitchen." So I did. I walked past all the carefully arranged decorations, the sparkling glasses, the warm food, and dragged a chair to an empty stretch of table. No plate, no napkin, no fork, just bare wood. I sat down and waited. Everyone was eating and talking, laughing about something Uncle Joe said. Madison was in the middle of a story about her job, and Mom was hanging on every word like Madison had written the Bible and was now quoting from memory. Dad chuckled at her jokes. Ryan watched her like she was the main character, and the rest of us were supporting cast. Then Mom started serving seconds. She walked around the table with the turkey platter, offering more to everyone. She passed right by me. I watched the gravy drip onto plates in a slow, hypnotic pattern. "Mom," I said. She didn't even look at me, just kept walking. "Carol, this is so delicious," Madison said, holding out her plate. "Could I have more potatoes?" "Of course, sweetheart." Mom rushed to the kitchen and came back with a huge scoop of mashed potatoes for Madison. Extra stuffing, too. I sat there with nothing, not even a roll. Finally, I spoke up, my voice sounding weirdly distant in my own ears. "Is there a plate for me?" Mom turned, and for a second, I swear she looked annoyed that I'd interrupted the performance. "Oh, Lila," she sighed dramatically. "There wasn't enough food for everyone. You don't mind, do you? You're always so understanding." She said it loud enough for the whole table to hear, like it was normal to invite your daughter to Christmas dinner and then not give her a plate. Madison went back to the serving dishes and piled more food on her plate. Mom helped her, smiling and chatting like they were old friends. I watched Madison take a second helping of everything, while I sat at the bare end of the table with nothing. Something inside me didn't explode, it just clicked. Not a loud, dramatic crack, more like a door closing softly. Final. I stood up. No one noticed at first. I walked to the hallway, picked up the bags of presents I'd brought, and headed for the door. "Lila," Dad called out, "where are you going?" I didn't answer. I stepped outside into the cold air, the sound of their laughter muffled as the door swung shut behind me. I put the gifts back in my car, shut the trunk, got in, turned the key. My phone started ringing before I even made it to the highway. Mom first, then Dad, then Ryan. I didn't pick up. Voicemails started stacking, then the texts. Ryan: "What the hell is your problem?" Mom: "You just ruined Christmas for everyone. I hope you're happy." Dad: "Your mother is crying. Come back and apologize." I turned my phone to silent and kept driving. 3 hours back to Seattle in the gathering dark. 3 hours to replay every Christmas, every birthday, every moment where I'd been pushed aside so Ryan could stand in the spotlight. This wasn't about a plate. It wasn't even about Madison. It was about 29 years of being invisible until money was needed. When I got home, I left the lights off and sat in the dim living room, the bags of presents still by the door like abandoned promises. The calls and messages kept coming for 2 days, then they just stopped. No one called on December 26th. No one called on the 27th. By December 28th, I realized something. They didn't care that I left. They cared that I disrupted the script, that I didn't play my role. They were angry about the mess, not the loss. On January 3rd, I picked up my phone. My fingers hovered over Mom's number, Dad's, Ryan's, then moved past them and dialed my bank instead. I listened to the hold music, heartbeat steady, and thought, I'm about to close a door they never imagined could close. I woke up on January 3rd with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. Not anger, not sadness, just a cold, clean understanding of what needed to happen next. The kind of clarity that comes after a long storm, when the clouds finally pull apart and the landscape looks different. Older, harsher, but undeniably real. I picked up my phone and called the bank. "I need to close a credit card," I said. The representative on the other end tapped at her keyboard. Can I have the account number? I gave it to her. It was the card I'd opened years ago, the one my parents had quietly turned into their personal allowance. Groceries, gas, random purchases, streaming services I didn't even use. Hulu, Prime, some weird educational app Dad never opened. Every month I saw the charges, paid them, and told myself this was what good daughters did. It's now closed and canceled, the representative said. Is there anything else I can help you with today? For the first time in years, I said, no, that's all. When I hung up, I felt lighter. Not free, not yet, but like I'd finally loosened the rope around my own neck. Then I opened the family group chat and typed a message. A single sentence. I'm no longer paying for your expenses. Figure it out yourselves. I hit send. I didn't wait for the fallout, but it came anyway. Notifications exploded. First, Mom's voicemail. Lila, I don't know what's gotten into you, but this is completely unacceptable. We're your parents. We raised you, fed you, gave you a home, and this is how you repay us? By abandoning us when we need you most? Your father and I are shocked and deeply hurt by your selfishness. Call us back immediately so we can discuss your behavior. My behavior, not their choices. Not leaving me without a place setting. Not serving Madison seconds while pretending I wasn't in the room. Not calling only when bills needed paying. Just my behavior. Then Dad's text. We can't buy groceries. The card was declined. What are we supposed to do? Then Ryan, you're being ridiculous. Turn the card back on. No apologies, no acknowledgments, just demands. And soon, reinforcements arrived. Aunt Linda. Your mother says you've lost your mind. Uncle Joe. Family comes first. This is shameful, Lila. Cousin Emma. You're abandoning your sick father? Really? I didn't reply. Not one word. I muted the chat and watched as their messages piled up like junk mail stuffed into a mailbox no one checked anymore. 3 days later, on January 6th, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Mom and Dad stood on the porch. Mom held a plastic bag. Dad looked tired in the way he always did when he needed something. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. Lila, Mom said with a shaky smile, as if nothing had happened. We've been so worried about you. She lifted the plastic bag. We brought cookies. Store-brand sandwich cookies. The cheapest kind. The kind she used to buy when she forgot to pick up the ones she knew I liked. I don't understand why you reacted so strongly, Dad said. We're concerned about your mental state. My mental state, I repeated, stunned into silence. Mom nodded solemnly. Yes, you've been acting very emotional lately, very dramatic. Maybe you should talk to someone. You didn't even stay for dinner. You didn't give me a plate, I said flatly. Mom blinked. It was just a misunderstanding. There was enough for Madison to get seconds. Twice. Well, she's Ryan's guest, Mom snapped, before softening it with a smile. We wanted to make her feel welcome. And I'm what? I asked quietly. Not even worth a napkin? Dad sighed, annoyed. Lila, you've always been the strong one, the independent one. We thought you could handle it. Mom folded her arms. We didn't think you'd make such a big deal out of one small thing. One small thing. I felt something inside me, some old, frail part, shudder under the weight of those words. Not break, just dissolve. Dad stepped forward. Look, we know you didn't mean to hurt us, but you need to understand something. His voice shifted into parental authority. You owe us. We're your parents. We gave you life. The least you can do is help us when we need it. It was said so matter-of-factly, so naturally, that for a moment I almost believed it. Almost. But that door inside me, the one that closed at Christmas, it stayed shut. I'm done, I said, with all of this. Mom frowned. Done with what? Being your backup plan, being your ATM, being ignored until you need something, being treated like I don't matter. Mom opened her mouth. I closed the door before she could speak. I locked it. Deadbolt, chain. Then leaned my forehead against the cool wood and breathed. Outside, their voices rose and fell. Accusations, offended tones, a plea or two. But I didn't listen. Eventually, footsteps moved away. Car doors closed. Silence. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I just walked back to my couch and sat down, feeling something like peace fall over me. For the first time in 29 years, I had ended a conversation on my terms. The next morning, I found an envelope in my mailbox, no stamp. Someone had put it there by hand. Mom's handwriting. I opened it. 5 pages filled with her dramatic cursive. Phrases like, you broke my heart, I sacrificed everything for you, and your coldness is unbearable. There were wet spots on the paper. Tears? Water? Something meant to look like grief. I read the first page and knew exactly what it was. Not remorse. Not reflection. Manipulation. I tore the letter in half, then tore it again, and again, then dropped the pieces in the trash. I thought that would be the end of it. I should have known better. Later that afternoon, my building's security guard approached me in the lobby. "Miss Rowan," he said, "a woman came by earlier, said she was your friend. Left this for you." He handed me an envelope. Inside were 4 photos. All of my house, taken at night, from outside. In one of them, you could see my silhouette in the window. The lamp behind me made my outline clear. Someone had been watching me. The guard described the woman. Blonde, young, smelled like too much perfume. Madison, Ryan's girlfriend of 1 month. I went upstairs, locked my door, double-checked the windows. My heart pounded in a way I didn't recognize. Panic mixed with disbelief, wrapped in something darker. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was something else entirely. That evening, the doorbell rang again. A delivery driver stood there with a box. No return address. I took it upstairs and opened it slowly, half expecting something awful. Inside was my childhood diary. The one from when I was 12. Covered in doodles, taped on stickers. Bad poetry. But it was torn. Pages ripped out. The cover bent and dirty. Stained with something that looked like dried blood. Probably paint. Maybe food coloring. But the message was clear. They could reach into my past. Into places I'd forgotten. Into things I never meant to share. I put the diary in a plastic evidence bag, sealed it, and sat down on the floor, breathing carefully. This wasn't a family dispute anymore. It was escalation. It was targeted. It was dangerous. And I wasn't going to pretend it wasn't happening. The next night, when I pulled into my driveway, I saw it immediately. My garage door was covered in bright red paint, dripping down the siding like blood. Ungrateful bastard. The letters were huge, violent, fresh. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped my keys. I grabbed my phone, opened the security camera app, and scrolled back through the footage. There it was. A figure in a dark hoodie, face hidden, spray can shaking. Quick, frantic strokes on the garage door. I zoomed in on the license plate as they left. Arizona plates. Ryan and Madison had moved to Arizona 3 months ago. They'd driven all the way back just to vandalize my home. I took screenshots, saved the footage, documented everything. I called a cleaning company in the morning. Called a locksmith for new deadbolts. Ordered more cameras. Front door, back door, sides, windows, everything. I even started taking different routes to work every day. Paranoid? Maybe. But paranoia is just preparedness with a bad reputation. I wasn't going to be caught off guard again. The next blow came 1 week later. A notification from my bank. A $3,000 withdrawal. From Arizona. A spa resort in Sedona. My stomach dropped. I definitely hadn't booked a spa vacation for anyone. I called the bank immediately. "Can you tell me where this charge originated?" I asked. "Arizona," the representative said. "It was made by a user with secondary permissions on your account." Secondary permissions. My breath froze. I remembered. Years ago, during Dad's medical emergency, when Mom couldn't get to the pharmacy, I'd given Ryan temporary access to my account to transfer money for medication. Temporary access I'd forgotten to revoke. I felt sick. "I didn't authorize this," I said. "This is fraud." "I'll flag it immediately," she said, "and I'll email you the documentation." As soon as I hung up, I stared at my laptop. $3,000 for a spa vacation. While they were vandalizing my home, while they were stalking me, while they were sending threats through photos and paint. That was the moment something inside me changed completely. Fear turned into resolve. I wasn't going to run anymore. I was going to fight back. For 2 days, I barely slept. Not because I was scared anymore. I'd already done fear. Fear was a suffocating blanket, heavy and smothering. But now I felt something almost electric humming under my skin. Focus, precision, purpose. If they wanted a war, they'd chosen the wrong enemy. I opened a fresh folder on my laptop and titled it exactly what it needed to be. Evidence. Family harassment case. Then I started dragging files in like I was loading ammunition. Bank statements showing every bill I'd paid for them. Over $40,000 worth of electricity, water, gas, prescriptions, food delivery, phone bills, streaming services. Every debt they'd silently passed to me as if it were my sacred duty. Receipts for Dad's medication. Receipts for Mom's Amazon shopping sprees. Screenshots of every entitled text. Every guilt-soaked voicemail. Every message from relatives calling me selfish. Then the dark stuff. Photos of the stalking. The silhouette of me in the window. The ripped childhood diary with red stains. The vandalized garage door and its dripping red letters, the security footage of the hooded figure, the zoomed-in Arizona license plate, the bank email confirming unauthorized access from Arizona, meaning Ryan, meaning the one person my parents always defended, the boy king they'd built their universe around. I included everything. Then I made a list. Every relative who sent a nasty message, every family friend who guilted me, the church where Mom volunteered, the community leaders Dad bragged to, anyone who'd ever taken their side without asking mine. It wasn't malicious, it was surgical. They wanted to paint me as unstable, selfish, dramatic? Fine. I'd show everyone the truth. When the file was ready, I attached it to a mass email and typed a simple message. This is what really happened. I thought you should know the truth. No theatrics, no explanations, just the facts. I hit send, and the world detonated. My phone buzzed nonstop for the next 20 minutes. Aunt Linda. Lila, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Your mother told us a completely different story. Uncle Joe. I feel terrible. I should have asked your side, Cousin Emma. I'm ashamed of what I said. Please forgive me. Even the church emailed. We are concerned about Carol's behavior and would like to schedule a meeting with her. That one made me laugh. An actual out-loud laugh, sharp and disbelieving. Mom loved playing martyr at church, soaking up pity like sunlight. A confrontation from them would slice straight through her favorite costume. I didn't reply to anyone. It wasn't about validation. It was about clarity, about flipping the stage lights on after their performance and letting everyone see the wires, the cracks, the lies painted over with charm. After sending the file, I sat at my desk and took a long breath. Then I opened my bank app and revoked Ryan's access, changed every password to a 24-character monstrosity, canceled every automatic payment I'd ever set up for my parents. Electricity? Gone. Internet? Gone. Streaming services? Gone. Phone bill? Gone. If they needed something, they could figure it out the way I'd been forced to for years. Then I changed my phone number, blocked Mom, Dad, Ryan, every extended family member who had joined the harassment parade. Silence washed over my life like clean water. The next morning, I checked voicemail on my old deactivated number out of morbid curiosity. Ryan's voice furious and panicked. Lila, pick up. We need money. The rent's due. Call me back. Dad's voice defeated. Lila, please. We can't afford groceries this week. Just this once. Mom's voice splitting into sobs. I don't understand why you're doing this. We're family. Please talk to us. I deleted them all without listening to the end. When they started calling my office line, I answered exactly once. Lila, Mom breathed. Thank God. We've been trying to reach you. We need help. Your father's medication. You told me I was strong and independent, I interrupted. My voice didn't shake. So be strong and independent. Figure it out yourselves. And I hung up, then blocked that number too. Weeks passed. Quiet, calm weeks. I worked. I slept. I cooked real meals instead of leftover stress snacks. I started going to therapy. My promotion came through. For the first time in my adult life, my bank account wasn't bleeding. Life felt peaceful until an envelope appeared in my mailbox. No return address, but the handwriting was unmistakable. Mom's. I almost tossed it unopened, but curiosity won. Inside was a letter, pages of it. Not an apology, a performance. Lines like, "We're sorry you felt hurt. We never intended for you to misinterpret our actions. You've always been too sensitive. We're devastated that you've pushed us away." It was a non-apology wrapped in victimhood. I put the letter in my desk drawer and didn't respond. 2 days later, a package arrived at my office. My assistant placed it gently on my desk like it was fragile. Inside was a container of freshly baked cookies. Dad's recipe, the ones he used to make when I was 7. There was a note in his handwriting. Lila, we know we hurt you. We used you and took you for granted. Your mother isn't doing well. We're struggling. We're sorry. Dad. For a second, just a second, my chest tightened. The smell of warm cookies, the memory of sitting on the kitchen counter licking melted chocolate off my fingers, the echo of a childhood before everything soured. But then the real memories broke through like cold water. Christmas, the empty place setting, Madison getting seconds while I got ignored, Mom telling me I owed them my life, the stalking photos, the diary, the graffiti, the bank theft, the fear, the humiliation, the violation, and whatever nostalgia tried to rise in me turned to ash. I closed the container, stood up, and carried it straight to the trash can. Letting it fall in was the easiest thing I'd done all year. Ryan wasn't done. The emails started the next week. Not apologies, not remorse. Threats. Aggressive messages at 2 o'clock a.m. All caps. Accusing me of ruining his life. Demanding I fix what I'd caused. Saying I'd pay for this if I didn't send money. Then Madison joined in, sending her own poison. You can't ignore us forever. We'll make your life hell. This isn't over. They thought intimidation worked on me now? They hadn't been paying attention. I saved every message, every threat, every line, every timestamp. Then I opened a new browser tab and searched. Harassment lawyer, Seattle. Her name was Patricia Chen. Calm, professional, sharp. I brought her the folder, digital and physical. Photos, screenshots, bank statements, videos, messages. She took her time reading through it, not shocked, not overwhelmed, just methodical. When she finished, she said one sentence. This is clear-cut harassment, stalking, theft, and intimidation. She recommended a cease and desist letter first. Cheaper, faster, often enough to stop people like Ryan and Madison. But she made it clear. If they continue, we will pursue restraining orders, police involvement, and full civil action. Good, because I wasn't bluffing anymore. Patricia drafted a letter so cold and precise it could have cut steel. It listed every incident, every crime, every threat. It warned them to stop all contact or face consequences they couldn't guilt or scream their way out of. We sent it certified mail. They had to sign for it. And just like that, the messages stopped. Silence, real silence. Not the kind filled with tension or waiting. The kind filled with peace. 4 entire months passed without a single word from them. I focused on work, got a promotion, started sleeping better, went to therapy, healed. For the first time in my life, the absence of family didn't feel like loss. It felt like freedom. Then one day, another envelope appeared in my mailbox. No return address. Mom's handwriting. My stomach dropped, not with fear, but with something colder. Inside was a single photograph. Mom and Dad standing in what looked like a church basement, wearing old clothes, behind a folding table with a cardboard sign. We accept donations. They looked exhausted, thin, gray, tired, Meg. There was no letter, just the photo. A message without words. Look what you did. Look how far we've fallen. Feel guilty. Come back. Save us. I stared at it for a long time. Waited for guilt to rise. Waited for obligation to take root again. Waited for the familiar ache of responsibility. None of it came. I slid the photo into my desk drawer beside Mom's faux apology letter. Not because I planned to act on it, because it was evidence, part of the story, part of how I finally learned the truth. These people didn't need a daughter. They needed an ATM with a guilt button. And that person didn't exist anymore. 4 peaceful months passed. No calls, no screaming voicemails, no midnight threats, no one stalking my windows or vandalizing my home. Every morning felt light. Every night felt like I could finally exhale. I threw myself into work, took on bigger projects, got promoted into a lead developer role, started mentoring junior engineers. I met with my therapist every Thursday, peeling back years of exhaustion and guilt layered so tightly I hadn't even realized how suffocating they'd been. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't pouring everything I had into a bottomless pit of parental entitlement. I wasn't the emergency fund. I wasn't the scapegoat. I wasn't the quiet, dependable daughter who could handle it. I was just me, and it felt incredible. Then Mom's photo arrived. No return address. No letter. Just that picture of my parents in the church basement, standing behind a donation table like a couple of wilted houseplants. Mom's hair looked grayer. Dad's face was thinner. Their clothes sagged in ways that felt intentional, almost staged. It was a message, of course. Not we need help. Not we miss you. No, this was, look at what you did. Look how you've ruined us. Look how we suffer because of you. The familiar hook tugged at the back of my mind, the one they'd sharpened into me since childhood. The guilt reflex, the obligation muscle, but it didn't sink in this time. I didn't feel responsible. I didn't feel manipulated. I didn't even feel sad. I felt nothing. I slid the photo into my desk drawer beside Mom's apology. That wasn't an apology. A neat little archive of every attempt they'd made to rewrite reality. A record of what I survived. A week later, Ryan's last line of defense kicked in. Revenge with consequences. It started small. Angry emails to my work inbox, thinly veiled threats, accusations of destroying the family, claims I'd owe him forever and that I'd regret ruining his life. Then they escalated. More messages, less coherence, more desperation, more rage. Madison joined in too, her tone more venomous, her threats more unhinged. But the beauty of having a lawyer is that you don't have to react emotionally when someone tries to light your life on fire. You just document. Screenshots, timestamps, IP addresses, send to the folder, forward to Patricia, move on with your day. I didn't reply to either of them, not once, but their messages got darker, more desperate, more reckless. Ryan wrote, "You think you won? You ruined my job. You ruined everything. You're going to fix what you caused. Or else." Or else. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't even surprising. It was pathetic. That was the moment I decided. This ends now, not later. Not when they ramp up again. Not when the next holiday rolls around. Now. I gathered every email, every threat, every saved message, and scrolled through the list of Ryan's employer's HR contacts. I didn't add commentary, I didn't dramatize, I didn't explain. I simply forwarded everything Ryan had written, along with proof he'd stolen $3,000 from my account and used it for a resort vacation. Subject line, employee conduct, for your awareness. Once I hit send, I sat back in my chair and breathed out slow. His job had already been shaky since the first incident. This was the final blow. And I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt done. Completely, irreversibly done. A few days later, Patricia called. "They've stopped contacting you," she said, flipping through paperwork. "No calls, no emails since the cease and desist. They've complied." I let the words absorb. The relief wasn't explosive. It was soft, warm, a slow unclenching I didn't know I'd been waiting for. "But," Patricia added, "if anything starts again, anything at all, you call me. We'll file for restraining orders, possibly criminal charges. You have a very strong case." I nodded. I hope it doesn't come to that. "It won't," she smiled. People like them don't fight when someone stands up to them. They fight when they think you're too afraid or too loyal to resist. I thought about that long after I hung up. Afraid or loyal? I had been both. Not anymore. Spring arrived with soft mornings and gentle rain. My apartment felt safer, brighter. My work felt more fulfilling. My life felt like mine. I no longer spent thousands a month on people who didn't appreciate it. I no longer checked my phone expecting guilt bombs or demands. I no longer heard Mom's voice in my head telling me I owed her my existence. I slept better. I ate better. I breathed better. Sometimes I wondered how they were doing, how Dad's health was, whether Mom found a job, if Ryan and Madison were still together, or if their love had crumbled under the weight of shared cruelty. But wondering isn't the same as caring. And caring isn't the same as helping. And helping isn't the same as sacrificing yourself for people who would gladly watch you drown if it meant they could stay afloat. People ask me sometimes if I feel bad, about the photo of Mom and Dad at the donation table, about the struggle they're clearly facing. They think I should feel guilt. They think it's unfair that I cut them off. They think I owe them forgiveness, or money, or pieces of myself. But here's the thing they don't understand. I gave them 2 years of financial support, over $40,000. I sacrificed time, peace, stability, health, and they never thanked me once. Not once. The second I stopped being useful, they turned vicious. They stalked me, threatened me, vandalized my home, stole from me, tried to destroy my reputation, tried to scare me back into compliance. That's not what family does. That's what parasites do when the host finally fights back. So no, I don't feel bad. I feel free. Truly, deeply free for the first time in my life.